Many people think that climate force displacement is a future risk, that it'll happen 20 or 30 years from today. But the reality is that in many communities around the world, people are already being forcibly displaced by climate change impacts.
Communities around the world are facing increasingly harsh impacts of climate change, including sea level rise, glacial melt, intensified natural disasters, and destruction of food and water sources. But these impacts are not distributed equally, nor do communities have the same resources and support to deal with them.
Certain groups are disproportionately impacted by the threat of climate force displacement. In particular, people who are living in small developing states face disproportionate threats. A good example is here in the United States, where most of the communities who are doing relocations right now are indigenous communities, who have lived on their lands and in the area where they currently live for between hundreds and thousands of years.
In UUSC's Environmental Justice and Climate Action program, we work to support indigenous populations of Alaska and the Pacific. UUSC is partnering with 11 grassroots organizations that reach 15 Pacific Islands and 15 Alaska Native villages. UUSC's partners are helping make sure that communities at risk of climate force displacement are involved and consulted each step of the way so that they can decide for themselves if, when, and how they relocate.
Partnering with communities is important at UUSC because we believe that communities are the experts in the issues that they are experiencing, and that they should really be leading and informing the decisions that affect them. UUSC's priority is in elevating the voices of the communities that are most affected by this issue. We believe in the adage that nothing about us without us. We lift up the community's voices, we support community organizing and local advocacy.
Along with these grassroots partnerships, UUSC is engaged in advocacy and research related to climate-forced migration.
Central to UUSC's advocacy on climate force displacement is the human right to self-determination. In reality, our partners and other grassroots and indigenous leaders are the innovators and they are the leaders when it comes to new solutions to climate force displacement. But they're usually sidelined by government officials, academics, and other quote-unquote experts when it comes to negotiations and other decision-making forums. Our research starts with our partners. We run focus groups, interviews, and do partner visits to assess the needs and the goals that our partners have. The next phase in our research is to reach out to stakeholders in other areas. These could be grassroots communities who are facing climate force displacement in other parts of the world, or they could be government officials or other negotiators or people at the international stage. What we're doing during these conversations with other stakeholders is to find solutions, recommendations, or innovations that we can bring back to our partners and that we can incorporate into work with our partners to advance their advocacy goals.
Throughout our work to support human rights, UUSC follows the lead of those most impacted and partners to bolster existing efforts of affected communities. In our Environmental Justice and Climate Action program, we are proud to be working with some of the most innovative leaders responding to the frontline impacts of climate change.